Welcome, Red Pills, to the Matrix Online Revisited podcast. I am Vesuvius. Hit the subscribe button for alerts on upcoming episodes. Today, I'm joined by two friends, and we're going to talk about the Matrix Online storyline and speculate as to which story elements and characters might make it to the upcoming Matrix 4, which is due to start filming in early 2020. So here's your warning for massive spoilers for The Matrix Online and possible spoilers for The Matrix 4. First, we have Lazarus. You want to say hello?
Hello, and thanks for having me.
And we are also joined by Starschwar.
Thank you for having me on.
Yes, so after the Matrix Revolutions, the Oracle and the Architect kind of left it off as like this piece. Okay, Neo brokered this piece, and The Matrix Online was the official continuation of the storyline, something that we are actually take a lot of pride in as players of The Matrix Online. And since it was like a niche game, you know, we feel like we're a pretty small group. I think for the most part, we don't believe that this will be canon, but we're looking at these characters that were introduced in the game and some of these events, and we're going to speculate as to what could possibly cross over. So, are you guys ready to get started with Chapter 1.1? So, Chapter 1.1, red-eyed LED agents appear in the city attacking red pills indiscriminately. These agents carry RSI fragments, which kicks off a race to collect them all, causing conflicts between Zion and Merovingian factions. The Oracle reveals that the Code Shapers can repair Neo's RSI fragments, but due to conflict, the LED agents gain power over a Shaper and connect to Neo's RSI, upgrading their powers. All red pills unite under Morpheus to defeat the Neo agents. Okay, so Lazarus, thoughts on 1.1?
So, with 1.1, I have to admit that I was a little bit late to the party. I believe I jumped in around 1.2, like right after this event. But, looking back and, coming in, I was aware that Neo's RSI fragments were immediately part of the game. And when we're talking about what could be involved in the Matrix 4, we know, Keanu Reeves is signed up, Carrie-Anne Moss is signed up. And as soon as the game starts, they're throwing us Neo teasers. So, you know, um, when we're trying to figure out ways in which they can bring Neo back, I mean, the game starts with saying, okay, there's parts of him scattered all over this universe. So, I don't know how they're going to Humpty Dumpty him back together in this case, as far as the movie goes. But if you're using the Matrix Online as sort of a blueprint for this conversation, I mean, that is one avenue that they could go down. That his RSI or his essence or his spirit is still in the Matrix because he did die inside of the Matrix.
And Starshore?
Not only did he died while being assimilated by Smith, who had, as far as we know, assimilated virtually every human being and program in exile in there. So there could be a little bit of Neo in everyone, hypothetically. I think the most important thing from 1.1, and indeed probably Matrix Online in general, that the movie could and hopefully will explore is the notion that under this new peace, this truce that Neo established with the machines, that not all the human red pills are on board with Team Zion, that some think that the real way forward is to work with or perhaps for the machines. And there's more, well, if someone wants to have an alternate interpretation, but, or, more like renegades or criminals or whoever wound up throwing in with the Merovingian. I think that's ripe for exploration. The idea that just because you're awake doesn't mean you're necessarily against the machines or even care about the conflict and all, and just want to pursue power like the Merv.
Yeah, and we do know that Cypher was really not on board with Zion. He wasn't down with Morpheus's cause. So we did kind of have that, early on with Cypher
sure.
in part 1. And
but the difference being Cypher, he was fed up with the quality of food. He was in it for himself. Machinists generally thought, working for the machines was for the best for mankind. And Mervs, I don't know if any of them necessarily thought by helping the Merovingian, they were making the worlds, I guess, a better place. But, to see humans go that route could be interesting as well.
That's one thing I always liked about the game, is just in terms of what Star just brought up in terms of kind of choosing your ideology, in terms of picking your Merovingian machine or Zion character. But as you brought up earlier, talking about the what they call the garbage truck carrying Neo's body, I mean, even if we're collecting his RSI pieces within the Matrix, I mean, when he did die in the final Smith fight and Smith assimilated him, he was still plugged in through the hardline connection, and they have his body. So I mean, we've got a lot of ways just based on the very first event and the end of Revolutions to say, okay, we can easily justify how Neo is existing in this new installment.
There's another justification, but I think that's not until 1.2 or 1.3. But I'll let Vesuvius bring up that situation.
Okay, so my thoughts on 1.1. There are some programs. Right now they're these LED agents. Okay, they have red eyes. We're not really sure if they're real machine agents, but they're also seeking Neo's power. Okay, a moment ago, Starschwar, you said, "Hey, there might be a piece of Neo in everyone." The other side of that is there could be a little bit of Smith in everybody as well. So, when we get to, those anniversary events that happened much later, those game-focused events, we're not really sure if they're canon. But, it's kind of up to us to interpretate.
There is a little bit of hint that Smith wasn't completely gone that is canon. Early on, the machine mission controller, if you were a player and you chose to work for the machines, you got your missions from Agent Gray. Every once in a while, Gray would speak in a manner that was very Smith-esque. That went away after a while, but the implication was that he's slightly compromised or might even be eventually becoming the next Smith. That never really came to fruition, but there's a hint that he's not completely expunged.
Neo's fragments, Morpheus said the body cannot live without the mind, but it doesn't mean that the mind can't live without the body. So Neo could possibly be, spread out in the Matrix and, repaired somehow and maybe living just inside the Matrix. And when you hear that Keanu Reeves is coming back to reprise his role as Neo, this is certainly one way that they could explain that. At the time it was very exciting to see that Neo might possibly still be alive because it was so close to the events from which he died. So, that could be one way that they bring him back.
And the mind can absolutely live without the body. We saw that in the third movie when Neo was stuck in the train station. He was plugged in but not connected to a chair.
All right. Any other thoughts on 1.1?
The LED agents were part of a larger arc that we'll be discussing more as we go. There's sort of these are familiar villains, but the machines don't like them either. Is this a trick? Is there more to it? That could be a thing in the new movie, but my gut says they'll just skip over them.
I agree. I think they're probably going to skip over the LED agents, but to that point, just in terms of, I know some people are kind of real sticklers about what's official canon and what's not. I just wanted to throw out there that the earlier we are in these chapters, I think the more likely it is going to be used because of the fact that it was still with Warner and things weren't switched over to Sony yet. So I just wanted to put that out there in terms of
the
just the
Wachowskis
timeline.
still had to approve all the major story stuff even towards the end. So
Absolutely.
it's they signed off on everything. Whether or not they choose to use it is up to one of them at least. Which one's making the new movie? Is it Lana?
Lana's involved, yeah.
Yes, Lana. It's my opinion that right now all of the Matrix Online is canon, and it's basically until Lana says otherwise. And that's my opinion.
That's a completely fair way of looking at it. It is Matrix Online is the last time the story really continued in any way since Revolution. So until they contradict it, that's as far as I'm concerned, that's the official version of events. I guess technically you could say the last piece of new story they made was the alternate ending in Path of Neo, but that was a big joke. I don't think that was at all meant to be taken seriously.
And there you have it, Red Pills, part 1 of chapter 1. For the full episode, subscribe to the podcast at the link in the description. You can subscribe on Spotify or on Anchor.fm. Plus, we should be on iTunes in the next few days. I want to thank Lazarus for the video of this latest episode. You can check out his YouTube channel at Neo-Matrixology for the latest news and research related to the Matrix 4 and anything Matrix universe. If you enjoy the content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel to get notifications for upcoming episodes.